entering the vagina without erection can actually often be better for women than with erection, for 3 reasons that I will tell you about. We are not talking about the whole sex without erection. I did make a video on that, you can watch it there. We are talking only about the benefits of the penetration, the moment of entry. Once inside, you may gain an erection and continue normal sex with erection. I've already made a lot of videos on sex with erection, so this is just something new for you to learn about and to expand. If you don't need this, you don't need this. We're all grown-ups here, we're just discussing options. So how do I know about these benefits of soft penetration for women? Well, I was lucky to learn about sex without erection over 20 years ago from, at the time, advanced tantric sex practices, which have now been forgotten with the commercialization of those teachings. So with that luck, I got a chance to include those practices in my 20 years of consultancy with clients. So I gained a lot of data how penetration with erection and without erection works for women. Feel free to believe it or not believe it. I'm just telling you what I've learned from, over 20 years of practical research. So number 1, comfort for women. Many women are a little bit uncomfortable with penetration with a full erection more than men realize. It's not necessarily pain, but a little bit of discomfort that tenses her up. Now, if a woman immediately at penetration feels a little bit of discomfort, she might feel kind of less pleasure, less orgasmicity for the rest of sex after that, just from that first moment. So please don't leave a comment, my woman loves when, I penetrate with a hard erection. I'm really happy for you. A lot of women love it, have no problem with it, but a lot of women have a little bit of discomfort. The vagina can be a little bit narrow relative to the penis, just, normally for that woman, which will expand later in sex, but to begin with. The woman can feel a little bit tense about penetration, so contracting a little bit. So foreplay goes a long way, of course, to help with that. But it can still feel a little bit too much to take in a fully erect penis. This is not about lubrication. Lubrication doesn't necessarily solve it, because lubrication deals with friction. But this kind of discomfort is more about just a little bit of narrowness, a bit of tightness around the entrance to the vagina. And then in the depth of the vagina, women often in that cervical region feel a little bit kind of congested, a little bit they need to be massaged first to warm that up. So if you penetrate with a full erection straight away, like, some women are totally comfortable with it, they enjoy it, but other women can feel a bit uncomfortable. It's a very immediate stretching of these regions around the opening and inside, and that initial a little bit of a shock already kind of changes your feeling for later in sex. Now, if you penetrate without erection, soft, then what you've got there is like an effect of inflating balloon inside, essentially. The erection still happens, but it happens more gradually, so it expands the opening and the cervical region more gradually, and that takes away that discomfort. Less discomfort, more pleasure. So this can be relevant for women of any age. Younger women often have a slightly more narrower, more unstretched vagina, or they might feel a bit more tense about penetration. Older women, particularly after menopause, have a more delicate vagina, so it is worth not shocking it straight away, but kind of inflating it like that, a bit more gradually. The second benefit of soft penetration is that it can actually create more sensation, more pleasure and orgasmicity for a woman throughout intercourse later. It is generally a good practice with genitals to not start with the strongest sensation, but if you start with a smaller sensation and then you build up little by little, intensifying it, kind of escalating it, you generally unpack more sensitivity this way, just sort of how the genitals work in general for both men and women. So it's not that immediately you're not going to feel a lot of pleasure. Like a woman penetrated with a hard penis can feel, it is very pleasurable, very enjoyable. But often if you actually start with a soft penis with the smaller sensations, and then you build up to the erection inside, you will often unpack more sensation, more pleasure in the vagina, more orgasmicity. Could be a significant or not significant improvement for some women, so it's not like you have to do it. I'm just saying, that effect exists. So I have found this to be so useful that I often even recommend penetration without erection, start in intercourse without erection, to women who feel kind of numbness and lack of sensitivity in the vagina. The third benefit is the most important one, and the one that really revolutionizes your quality of sex. for both a man and a woman. And that is that a woman finally gets enough foreplay, enough arousal, and the man is relaxed. Because so many men have told me that, I always have an erection. Now, maybe you're somebody who can hold an erection for 30, 40 minutes. I don't doubt it. But I've often seen cases where men say this, but then it turns out that it's because as soon as they get it up, within the first minute of sex, they're ready to go and they're penetrating a woman like within a minute or two. So what would happen if you gave a woman, foreplay for 15 or 20 minutes? Would you still have the same answer? And actually, a lot of men tell me that this is the problem. This is why they don't give foreplay to a woman, because they are worried about losing it later. So I'm sorry, but this becomes really crap for a woman, because everything, her pleasure, her arousal is sacrificed completely to the man's anxiety. The whole of sex becomes about maintaining erection. You're only doing things that are working for the dick. So if there are other things a woman would enjoy, but they're not turning the dick on, you just totally exclude them. And many men subconsciously rush into penetration because of that underlying awareness that, the erection is not going to last long. Women also shoot themselves in the foot by feeling insecure if the erection is lost. So that puts kind of emotional blackmail and pressure on the man, and then he's even more anxious about it. So women need to take care of that, which is why it is really important to agree to do this practice together so you're on the same page. Now, let's back up a little bit why this happens for men. Why do they lose erection so soon? Well, it's not a very nice thing to say, but you basically need to think about it as a mechanism inherited from a monkey. What does a monkey do? The monkey's in the jungle, there's a pause for a minute in the dangers of life, quickly fuck, hopefully you're not killed within a minute, and move on. So, the hardware is basically designed for that, and that's what you have inherited. Obviously, men will have different range within that, but that's like the core function. The erection also traps blood, so the body has, kind of worry about the blood being trapped there and your dick getting necrosis and falling off. So it doesn't want to leave the blood there for long. It wants to refresh the blood. Like the clinical limit for that is about 3 or 4 hours when it's supposed to go into the hospital, but the body obviously is not going to wait for 3 or 4 hours. It's going to release it far, far sooner. So the problem that a lot of men experience is you get excited first with a very kind of like strong stimulus, and then when it goes, you feel like you can't really get excited to the same extent on the second round after that release, right? However, if you are inside the vagina, it's a different kind of stimulation, not the same sharpness of excitation in the mind. Feeling the vagina moving inside it, feeling the energy of the vagina, that can bring on the erection for that second round. So the soft penetration is better for women because basically both of you relax and you stop being anxious about it, and you just do what you want for as long as you want in complete freedom. And if it's still up, you go inside up, and if it's not up, you go inside soft, and then it goes up. So it just brings a tremendous amount of relaxation, completely revolutionizes your sex life, finally gives the woman what she really needs. And of course, that relaxation for the man is also helping him to get an erection, because men often suffer from that performance anxiety. And just knowing that you can penetrate anytime at will, whether you have erection or not, completely removes that anxiety. Your actual erections might be better as well. So whether you're a man or a woman, you can't really do it without agreeing with your partner to take up this practice. You need to be on the same page. This is not a video on how to do penetration without erection. I do teach it, but I've also had a bunch of people come into my consultancy who were already doing it. So they worked out by themselves how to do it without my help. The immediate reaction people have is, it is impossible. How would you even do that? Well, look at it again from another angle. Why would this not be possible? Of course, you can find a way to do it. You have put more difficult objects into more difficult places. Putting a thread through a needle is one of the examples. I think of it a bit like, learning to tie shoelaces when you were a kid. The first time you're like, what the hell? This is so frustrating, it's impossible. With a couple of hours of practice, you never have to worry about it for the rest of your life. So make a bit of time and you just experiment and you work it out. You're gonna have a fiddle and a giggle. And all it takes is just 1 hour of fiddle for the rest of your life. And then you have totally revolutionized your sex life for the rest of your life. So it's totally worth it.